the team that everyone's betting is actually the Rams. You know, we've seen the Rams go from 20-1 down to 15-1. I like the Rams.
What's going on, everyone? Bear Bets Podcast is back 1 week from the start of the NFL season. So myself and Geoff Schwartz are here to kind of kick around some conference thoughts, some Super Bowl thoughts, some early week one thoughts as well. Maybe brag about and predict who might lose their job amongst these NFL head coaches in the coming weeks. Will Hill and John Murray from the Superbook will join us in the gambling group chat as well. But Geoff, we have college football this week. We have NFL football next week. We're back, brother.
A football buffet starting tonight through the weekend. And you got the NFL Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. No Saturday, right? They can't be on Saturday till December.
I believe that's correct.
There's actual law that they can't interfere with college football on Saturdays until the season's over. So,
but don't worry, we got plenty of college football.
We got plenty of college football anyways. But I'm excited, Bear. You know, the preseason felt different this year. I feel like I'm unchanged, unmoved with really any team except the teams that I thought are going to be bad. I got some confirmation bias, I feel like, but like I think they'd be very bad. I think that
we're looking at you, Steelers. We're looking at you, Giants.
The Steelers. I looked at my few. I keep a tab of all my wagers. I think you should look if you're into sports wagering. You should keep a spreadsheet. I know you keep tabs of your wager. I keep tabs of my wagers. I can't bet the Steelers under anymore. Like I have all the unders. I have under win total, under division wins, under points. I looked for Russell Wilson passing numbers now that he announced the starter. Couldn't find him quite yet. I'll bet him under, which they're probably not going to post that, right? Because Fields will play at some point. So I just think that Russell Wilson passing props.
Oh, it's on. Oh, they're up.
Oh,
they're not up everywhere. They're not up everywhere. The only place I found that up was Caesars Will Hill. That was the only place and that was the only place as well that I saw the Steelers season point total. It was funny. I remember
DK has all the points.
DK has the point totals for teams now as well.
They've had them all summer.
Why couldn't I find that?
I bet a ton of them. Raiders, Chiefs over.
I didn't see that in Connecticut.
Oh, maybe not Connecticut, but it's here, buddy, in New York City. So nonetheless,
I drove to Massachusetts, sat in the side of the road there in a little cutoff area and bet Steelers under 347.5 season points.
Well, I have the Chiefs over.
And then oh by the way,
Patriots under.
Did you see what happened like within 3 days after we?
It dropped immediately.
331 and it dropped 16 points a couple of days after we gave that out on the pod.
Yeah, it went down. It went down fast. No, I have a lot of those. So nonetheless, the Steelers, the Giants, the Raiders, like all these teams I thought were going to be bad. I don't feel like any team, Bear. I don't feel better about any team outside of maybe like a smidge better for one team. Otherwise, look, starters didn't play for a lot of the winning teams. Like I don't feel so. It's kind of a weird preseason to me. Like I think that I come out of most preseasons with some sort of concrete thoughts about teams. I feel like I sort of feel the same way about teams I thought entering the season. Are any teams like that you've changed your mind about?
I just found it on DraftKings. I'm so excited.
You have all of them, yeah. But
you have them all.
But the numbers probably aren't.
No. It's 345.5.
Still.
Yes.
You can hit it again?
In-game bets. Here we get in-pod bets. Here we go.
You can hit it again?
Damn right I'm going to hit it again.
So for those who don't know, you can go on DraftKings and you can find scoring totals for all the teams, how many points they're going to score in a given year. The Steelers were under 300 points last season, I believe, right?
I think they had 304, I think it was.
So you can bet on these teams. I can pull them up, but I know I have Panthers under, Patriots under already, Steelers under. I have Chiefs over points for the season. So it's a fun market. Look, there are a lot of ways to play these. Yeah, score under scoring specials, right? Yeah. Yep. Most points, least points, all those things.
Yeah, there are a few point scoring specials tabs. So that's you're just going to have to look and find the appropriate one. But to answer your initial question, no, nothing really happened in the preseason to change my opinion of how good or bad a team's going to be. And I think that's mainly because no one really played their starters. It was hard for me to really get a gauge as to who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. Now I lost the tab. I got to.
Yeah, it is difficult to find the exact tab you need for this one, but nonetheless, look, I think
we'll get to it.
I think one of the storylines coming out of training camp Bear is the starting quarterbacks and how many rookies there are starting this weekend, right? Not this weekend, next weekend, right? Caleb Williams is starting, Jane Daniels, Bo Nix. The Patriots did announce that Brissett's going to start for now,
which surprised me a little bit with the way the wind appeared to be blowing there.
You would be a better option for their offensive line right now than some of the current offensive linemen they have. I think they can't have them get killed, right? Like you have to sort of allow May to start maybe with a better base than the offensive line they have now and the wide receivers they have, and then Bo Nix is going to start. But I feel like the Bears to cover against the Titans is going to be a popular week one wager for the public, and I'd advise against that, right? Since the early 2000s, the number one pick is 1-14 against the spread in their first game.
That's a problem
in the NFL. I know the Bears are good. Good defense, good plays around Caleb Williams. It's still week one. I don't have a great feel for the Titans, though. They've improved.
I've heard a lot of support for the Titans, but in the opener.
I feel like I will take the Titans plus 4.5 as one of my contest picks week one. I feel like that's not locked in yet, but that feels like a place I feel comfortable with. That's a lot of points in the NFL, and the Titans aren't terrible, but it's a lot of expectation on the Bears week one at home with the savior Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it is, and you've got a Tennessee defense that should be pretty good. It's just going to be a question of whether Will Levis and that offense now without Derrick Henry can go there and score some points. But yeah, fading these highly drafted rookies is never a bad thing based on the past trends, and the players and the teams may change, but the situation remains the same. So that's what I think makes it so valuable, so profitable.
Any other rookie quarterbacks? So Denver's on the road in Seattle plus 5.5.
Yeah, I thought about using Seattle for Survivor.
Okay.
Week one, I thought about that, but obviously Denver has looked. I guess I should say Denver. The way Denver looked, at least with they may be the one team closest to changing the opinion of so far. Like I actually
5.5 wins. I believe.
I actually played a Chiefs Broncos exacta in that division.
I like that.
So I don't think the Raiders are going to be very good at all, and the Chargers, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
So I just tried to get a little boost on the Chiefs division price by going Chiefs Broncos.
The Commanders at Tampa Bay. Commanders getting 3.5. With Jane Daniels.
That'll be a tough spot for Washington. And
I think so. I like
that defense.
I like
Bowles,
Tampa.
That'll be a difficult.
I just need to hopefully gets to 3. They won't lay a 3 because the Sharps will come in and take the 3.
Yeah, three won't. It won't go there.
It's so funny. Before we get to gambling group chat, talking about these NFL numbers versus college numbers, when it's like, college, you're very rarely, at least I found in college football, do you talk about like 3 and 7 as much as the NFL. Like the NFL, because Bear, these numbers are so sharp in the NFL, right? Those important key numbers. Mm-hmm. College football, I feel like we talk less about. Does it feel that way to you? Like the key numbers in the NFL in college football versus the NFL?
I don't think college football has as many key numbers just because of all the 2-point conversions and the number of scoring and possessions that go on in college ball. Even though it's going to be interesting in college this year to see what the new communication rules. I mean, there are some people out there that think that's going to have an adverse effect on scoring, and that will bring games down and possessions down. So you mentioned Sharps. Let's get to someone who can kind of give us a little bit more detail on Sharps. That's John Murray from the Superbook out there. He will join Will Hill, you, and I right now in the Gambling Group Chat. Gambling Group Chat time. NFL final week before we actually have games next week. Myself, Geoff Schwartz, Will Hill, and we're happy to be joined by John Murray of the Superbook out in Las Vegas. John, one of the better guys in that wonderful city of Las Vegas. He's a Liverpool fan as well, so we got to have each other's backs at all time. I figure we'll start where we finished last year. Kansas City Chiefs going for a 3-peat, represented the AFC obviously in the last 2 Super Bowls. won the last 2 Super Bowls. They are the short shot to win the AFC at around 3.5 to 1 or so. I guess, John, my question is twofold. Number one, is this something that we're actually seeing tickets being written on the Chiefs to get back to the Super Bowl? And if they are not, is this just a ticket that you're probably just going to want to file away and have in your account or having your desk draw come playoff time? Because the price probably isn't going to get much longer, is it?
Well, you can't get 3.5 to 1 at the Superbook, Bear. I'll tell you that. We started them at 10 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. We got bet so heavily on the Chiefs. We had to lower their odds to win the Super Bowl. We had to lower their odds to win the conference. I can't really disagree with anybody saying they're going to put in a Chiefs future. These guys they're in the AFC Championship game every year. And what's more, it's an Arrowhead pretty much every year. So I wouldn't disagree with that. Mahomes is the best player in the world. I just hope it's not the Chiefs, guys. We got a lot of liability on the Chiefs. Give me somebody else. Give me a fresh face. Give me a Baltimore Ravens. Give me a somebody, man. Not the Chiefs. We don't want the Chiefs again.
Yeah, look, like if somebody told me, hey, I bet the Chiefs a future Super Bowl AFC, I mean, how could you argue? They're so good. Like John said, Mahomes, best player at the most important position. That being said, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, if you look back, remember last year, the money line rollover, if you started at the beginning of the playoffs, paid over 20 to 1 because they had to play week 1 against Miami. And then they were underdogs the next 3 games at Buffalo, at Baltimore, at San Francisco. And that was a unique year. They didn't get the bye, but I don't know. They lollygagged through the season last year. They kind of, they coasted. Will they coast again, going for 3 in a row, all of the games, all the wear and tear? I haven't bet it. Again, I couldn't argue if you did. I just think by the time you get to the playoffs or some point late in the year, you might be able to get a better number just by rolling it over. And as Bear and I know, this is the Jets year, so I don't know why you'd waste your money with this Mahomes fella in Kansas City.
So here's the test, right, guys? Let's say the Chiefs get back to their winning ways. Offensively, they'll be better. They're hosting the AFC Championship game again. Which one of these teams is going to Arrowhead and winning a game? Okay, Buffalo has proven they can't do it. Is Baltimore going to do it with that offensive line? They're going to start week 1, guys, with 3 brand new starters on the offensive line. First time starting, 3 guys. I'm not quite sure. Is Houston ready for that right now? The Bengals have gone in there and done it. I trust the Bengals, right, Bear? Like, they've done that.
Yep.
And then, look, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, I would look at the Jets and say, with that team, if they're in that game, with a veteran quarterback, with that defense, with some of the veteran players having the offensive, like, I would trust the Jets to go in there and be competitive against Kansas City. That's sort of where I lean as far as teams I could see going to Kansas City winning that game.
John, would the Jets be just as bad of an outcome in the AFC as the Chiefs? Worse or not close?
No. Jets are fine, Bear.
Really?
We love the Jets.
Wow.
Jets no,
that
we don't
surprises
want.
me.
Look, we don't want the Steelers. And
you don't got to worry. You don't got to worry about that.
Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried. And we don't want the Raiders. We never want the Raiders. We don't want the Chiefs. Actually, we do lose on Baltimore in the AFC pool. We don't really lose anything on them in the Super Bowl. And then the Bengals are a team that they're getting bet in both pools. The Bengals are I think they're the one team that does have the ability to do it. I don't think Baltimore can do it. If Baltimore didn't win last year, everything was set for Baltimore last year. Everything was set. They were the best team in the NFL. They had home field advantage, and they just no-showed the first half. I think they shut the Chiefs out in the second half?
Yes.
And they still managed to lose the game. Then Lamar Jackson just isn't capable of doing it. So I don't see it coming from Baltimore. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I think there's so many good quarterbacks in the AFC. It's so competitive over in that conference. It's amazing that the same guy ends up in the title game every year and wins it almost every year because the level of quarterback play out there is through the roof high.
Could I make a long shot case for the Jaguars? Like, it kind of
it's your podcast, buddy. You do whatever you want.
It's true. I can. I sit here with you every week, so I mean, I haven't been smart enough to kick you to the curb yet, but I wouldn't want to do that though. But you'll look. It kind of falls in line with the Jets, where like the Jags were like that trendy team last year, and then Lawrence got hurt, and the secondary was bad, and receivers were dropping balls all over the place. It just didn't click. And now this year, like no one's talking about him in that division. Everybody's on the Texans to win that division. They came out of nowhere last year. You draft Brian Thomas. You still got Christian Kirk. You bring in Gabe Davis from Buffalo. The front seven should be good. You got to worry a little bit about the secondary. I mean, they were in the game at Arrowhead a couple of years ago as well. Like, Will, am I crazy if we're looking at like 22-1 or so on the Jags maybe to win the AFC?
No, I don't think you're crazy at all. It's not a team I'm a huge fan of. I think we're at the point with Lawrence where, hey, maybe he'll be a good player, but this idea that he's going to be, the next Peyton Manning or generational, I think we would have seen it by now. He's just very loose with the ball. I don't know. There's something missing there. And if you're making the case for him, like you said, they were 8-3. The wheels fell off. He was hurt. They had a lot of drops from the receivers. So there's certainly the sleeper potential, but boy, they're going to have to navigate a pretty tough schedule early on. And is Peterson in a position where, hey, if things don't go well early, he's on the hot seat because that was such a collapse last year, losing the game to the Titans, losing all those games down the stretch. I mean, they were, I think you had to lay 100 to win $1 on them to make the playoffs with like a month or so left in the season, and it didn't happen. So I get it. To John's point, the AFC is so loaded that, boy, you're really going against some stiff competition in that conference.
John, is there anybody out there in the AFC that you're surprised you haven't taken more action on?
I think you're crazy to take Jacksonville. I think you are crazy. I'm not going to be as nice as Will. The team I like that I don't see much action on is Indianapolis. They had a perfect drive in that last game against Houston. They were going to win the division. The coach played it perfectly, and then they blew that fourth down play at the very end of the game, or they would have won the AFC South last year with Gardner Minshew as their quarterback. I really like that coach. I like Richardson. I think they got a lot of players on both sides of the ball. Everybody's picking Houston in the South. You guys know that, but I think the Colts could be live.
So I guess we'll flip over to the NFC. And I was kicking this around with you last night, Will, about how does it feel like everyone's just kind of settling on the same team in the NFC? Everyone feels like it's either settling on Eagles, Lions. I get a bad feel. I have just a bad vibe about the Niners with the injuries and the holdouts, and they've been so fortunate the last couple of years. Like it almost feels like they're due for a run of bad luck. And I know that's like you can't really predict that, but is the NFC just like setting itself up for something really wacky to happen, or are all these preseason prognostication that it's Niners, Eagles, Lions versus everybody else going to ring true?
Yeah, it's funny with the 49ers. Whatever your take, whatever your bet on them is, you're going to feel like an idiot if you're wrong, because if you fade them, if you bet against them and they go 13-4, you're going to say, what was I thinking? What am I doing? There's so much talent. Why did I think this team wasn't going to be good? And by the same token, if you're betting on them to be good and they just have a down season, you're going to say, hey, all the warning signs were there, the holdouts, the rest disadvantage, Super Bowl hangover. So I still think they're really talented. I would lean towards an under 11.5 just because I do think the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. I mean, that's been tried and true over the years. The rest disadvantage is a real thing. So, I could see, look, 11-6 is still a pretty good year. So that those 11.5s are juiced towards the under. I would still lean towards an under. I like Detroit. I don't know. I get your point about, we're all picking the same teams. I don't know, unless you really believe Green Bay can step up and be that team. I don't think Chicago's ready yet. I just don't know who that team is to take the next leap. I like Detroit. I think if you look at that core, that nucleus, it's so young that there's room for them to grow. When you look at like their 5 or 6 best players are all 25 and under. The receivers, St. Brown and Jamison Williams, Gibbs, Laporta, Hutchinson, Sewell. And Jeff knows, like, when you have a really good offensive line and they have a really good offensive line, you have a very high floor. And, we've all heard the stat, 14 games indoors, so Goff doesn't have to, sit by the heaters and freeze and go into a shell like he does in the bad weather. I think Detroit's the team. I'd be... I think 5-1 at them to win the conference is not a bad bet. I can't find that next team to step up and be a sleeper. I just don't know that there's the depth that there is in the AFC.
I think the Lions have the least amount of questions right now, right? When you look at the roster, the way they're built, as Will mentioned, like in the trenches first, right? Which I'm always going to defer to. And look, I think Dan Campbell's style of coaching is important here, right? He is aggressive. He is going for it. Like that attitude, I think, plays well in the locker room. We know they won a lot of games last year, and the indoor thing is important, right? If you look at Jared Goff's splits versus dome and outdoors, it's a big difference. If you get the 1 seed because of your schedule, you'll be indoors the entire time in the postseason. You'll get San Francisco or Philly to come to you. But look, Philly, there's some question marks, right? They have to replace Kelsey. What's that going to look like on the offensive line? New coordinators everywhere, both offense and defense. Is Sirianni sort of the guy to lead them through? And the Niners, Bear, the vibes are bad, okay? Think about this. Your best offensive player has been out of training camp in McCaffrey. He's been hurt. One of your best offensive weapons is still not at camp, and the general manager has now called him out officially. Right? You need to come to camp to play football this season for us. Your left tackle, your Hall of Fame left tackle, is not going to show up. Remember, guys, Trent Williams sat out for months in Washington. He does not care. He will sit out till he gets the contract that he wants. Like, it's a mess right now. Let's go. They played Brock Purdy in the preseason for whatever reason, and he got smashed the entire time. I no idea what they're doing in San Francisco. I think the Lions right now are the most settled franchise, the most settled roster. They have things going the right direction, and I think the Lions are the pick. I have Chiefs over Lions.
Imagine repeating that sentence about 10 years ago. The Lions.
3 years ago.
The Lions are the most settled franchise in the NFC.
3 years ago, even.
3 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years
exactly.
ago. I mean, it's
keep going. Keep going.
Things change, absolutely.
John, by the way, I like the West Virginia polo there. Big noon kickoff synergy. Appreciate that. I'm assuming you've just been writing Eagles and Lions all off season, right?
I wore this for you. It's ridiculous to wear this polo. It's like 80 degrees here in Las Vegas, but I wore it just for you. You know, it's mostly Lions, but the team that everyone's betting is actually the Rams. You know, we've seen the Rams go from 20-1 down to 15-1. I like the Rams. I agree with everything the guys said, though. The 49ers are a mess, and under 11.5 has been a really sharp play that we've seen. A lot of really sharp players on that. Every instinct I have, and the way I've always bet the NFL, is to go against the Lions because they had such a great season last year. But I don't think I can do it because I like Dan Campbell. I think they should have won the NFC Championship game last season. Jared Goff could not have played a better football game than he did that day. He was outstanding. I know Dan Campbell got skewered by all the Monday morning quarterbacks the next day, but I thought what he did was right in that game. He stayed super aggressive. He trusted his offense. They dropped some passes that should have been caught, or it would have been Lions-Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl. I like the Lions again this year. I don't like the Eagles. You know, we saw what happened last season where they lost both of their coordinators. They quit in the wild card game against Tampa Bay. That was an embarrassment to lose like that. And then Jason Kelsey retired. So I think there's a lot of question marks there with Philadelphia, and I could see the other three teams in that division all being better. I could see Philadelphia taking a step back this season. I really could.
Yeah, I think it's either going to go one way or the other with the Eagles in that division. Either bringing in Fangio and the draft picks and trade for Huff. It's all going to come together and work, or it's going to be a complete nightmare between Sirianni and Hurts as well. So hopefully for Eagles fans, it will go well. Again, Super Bowl champ, Geoff. I mean, the Chiefs at 5-1, 5.5-1 is you're just going to want to just hold that ticket, right? Because it's probably not going to go up.
I will not spoil my take for later in the show, but yes.
Yeah.
Look, it's rare. I think a Super Bowl champion comes back the next year and is better, like significantly better. Like their offense, guys, is going to be back to what it was, and their defense will take a step back as defenses are more volatile year to year. I don't expect them to be the number 1 or number 2 defense, but they don't need that, guys. They need their defense to be between 10 and 12. They don't need to have an all-world defense if their offense is significantly better. And with Worthy in there, and Brown will come back soon. I like the little additions of Juju and P. Ryan. So to me, I think the Chiefs are set up very well to win again. And look, they've won in 3 different ways, right, Bear? They won in 19 with Tyreek Hill in the offense, the defense getting better. In 22, they won a different way. And then last year, they won with defense first. Like, they've won different ways now. So, Will, I have Kansas City win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry to be boring, but that's where I'm going.
No, it's a bold pick. It was this is going to blow up social media.
Thank you.
Look, the word "do" is dangerous in betting. But is Mahomes just going to make the AFC title game, make the Super Bowl every year of his career? Aren't they kind of just due to like the ball doesn't bounce their way in the playoffs? Mahomes
I think next year
something. I agree they're better. But at some point, like I don't know, he's going to have a bad game in the wild card round, or something's going to happen. Like I just don't think we're going to have 13, 14 years of Mahomes in the AFC title game, the Super Bowl. It's insane what he's done. It really is.
By the way, the reason why I think it's this year, guys, is I think Travis Kelce is going to retire after the season. It's not like a big surprise. And then the offense will be much different. So like that, to me, this is sort of like the final year. You know, you paid Chris Jones. I get that, but he'll be one more year older next season. Like I think they're going to lose their left guard and right guard after this season. Like there's going to be a change after this year, and they sort of went all in to win 3 in a row. And so Will, to your point, I think next year is the year that we see sort of maybe the transition to the post-Kelce offense, new offensive linemen kind of sort of figuring things out there, and they sort of go. This year is sort of the last hurrah of this kind of core of Chiefs.
Will, did you play the Jets to win the Super Bowl? You got that ticket? Because I'm looking down the board. If you're trying to be different, and we talked about it ad nauseum before about how last year the injury and everyone seems to be kind of jittery about betting them this year. Outside of the Reddick nonsense, things kind of line up for him. Like it's kind of, I don't want to say now or never.
Don't do it.
But 19, 20 to 1 or so, you could probably make worse bets than that, no?
I'm going to bet it. I haven't bet it yet. I bet him to win the division, last undefeated. They're my pick to come out of the AFC. I just think for all the reasons we've talked about, winning 7 games with no quarterback at all. I think this idea that Rodgers is washed up is misguided. Now, maybe he got banged up, and at his age, that's part of the deal here. But this idea that 2 years ago he wasn't good. 2 years ago he fractured his thumb in like week 4, week 5. He hurt his ribs in week 12. He played through a ton of injuries. Again, he's 40. Maybe that's just part of the territory. Maybe you're going to get a diminished version. I think Rodgers is going to play great. I think the defense is absolutely stacked. The defense played well when they had to win games by themselves, and they tried to win games 13-10. They're going to have a little more breathing room. They can be a little more aggressive. I think the Jets are absolutely stacked. They are my pick. Famous last words here to come out of the AFC.
John, what do you think of that? We were talking about the Jets and the Lions winning the Super Bowl. We welcomed you to Crazy Town here this morning.
I never thought I'd see the day where I was picking the Lions to win the NFC before the season started. I don't think you should bet the Chiefs at 11-2 for all the reasons that Will said earlier on the show. If you roll it over in the playoffs, you'll almost definitely get more money. Not to mention, we're talking here on August 29th. You're tying up your money till February when you could probably make more money by betting it in the middle of January and just running the ticket over through the Super Bowl. Don't think that's a good idea. No comment on the Jets because you guys are incapable of stepping back and looking at the team realistically, which I understand. I can't do that with certain teams. If you make me pick a team, I'll go with the Bengals. Look, they've done it before. They did it 2 years ago. I thought they should have won the NFC Championship game a year ago, and the refs kind of intervened there to help the Chiefs. They could have easily won 2 straight AFC title games in Arrowhead. I think they could do it.
Look, the Bengals are the one team.
The dogs are upset. They don't like all this NFL talk, Bear. They want me to talk about Liverpool. Well, so they're fired up here.
Well, yeah, two matches, 6 points, 2 clean sheets. We're off to a good start, and we got a trip down to United this weekend, where as awful as United were last year, they couldn't win one. So. Welcome to Chiesa as well, who can play about 11 different positions for him. But we still need a number 6.
I'm excited.
I am too. Jeff, sorry.
I don't know what any of that meant, but I believe you.
It's very important, Jeff. I can tell you that much.
Okay, good.
It's very important.
The Bengals are the one team as a Chiefs fan I worry about because for whatever reason, Joe Burrow and that team, I'm not saying any team fears the Chiefs per se, but they outwardly do not fear the Chiefs. And they've won an Arrowhead. Look, again, the Chiefs have lost two home playoff games, right? Under the Mahomes regime. A 3-point loss to New England in overtime, and 3-point loss to the Bengals in overtime. That's it. Every other home game. The Bengals do not fear going to Arrowhead. They do not worry about the noise and the Chiefs persona and who they are as a team. Like Joe Burrow is super calm and collecting in the pocket. Look, the Jamar Chase contract thing will work itself out. He's going to play this season. I think the question marks again are just like, can the offensive line hold up for a season? Can Joe Burrow stay healthy? Things like that. The Bengals are the one team that I'd look at. And look, they were one play away from getting into field goal range and at least tying that game up against the Rams.
Yeah, obviously.
Or winning the game. They lose by...
The Bengals Rams?
They lost by 3.
Okay, so we're going to tie it up, yeah.
And they had, was it Tyler Boyd that was wide open down the sideline that he missed on that final drive? Yeah, that was, I might have had a few too many Caribbean-based adult beverages and Turks and Caicos watching that game. I couldn't remember if it was Boyd or not, but fun market that everyone always likes to kick around, and these are offered in faraway places outside of legal jurisdictions, but people ask and people want to know the first coach fired. Everyone wants to know who's going to lose their job. Hopefully none of us are going to lose our jobs, but I think if you go down the odds board, there are 2 obvious contenders to be the first coach fired. Number one is somewhat a team that we already discussed, and John kind of laid out a path to not liking the Eagles. I think Nick Sirianni has to be one of the guys that you'd have to consider, because if things get sideways early, you fire the coordinators, you roster overhaul. If it doesn't work now, it's on you. So, I think Sirianni could be a guy. And the other one that I think it could be Sean McDermott. Again, it's a team that they've come up short year in and year out. They've lost some guys. The start of their schedule is brutal. They could have a rough start to the year. You look at the prices. Dennis Allen, it's not worth betting. McCarthy's not going to get fired. Jerry doesn't do that really in season. Brian Dable's not going to get fired. He was coach of the year a couple years ago. Todd Bowles isn't going to get canned. And I guess Saleh could, but so many of the coaches are either in their first or second year, and you're just not going to make changes. I thought, Will, that the 2 obvious plays to me were Sirianni and McDermott.
Yeah, but this is not offered in legal jurisdiction, so I don't feel comfortable talking about it, so I'm going to sit this one out. No, I'm with you. I like McDermott. I like McDermott here for all the reasons Bear mentioned. Look, I think that 13 seconds in Buffalo 3 postseasons ago, it was a 21 postseason, that's just lingered over that team. They've lost a home playoff game to Cincy since. They lost another home playoff game to the Chiefs. And McDermott's thrown everybody under the bus, but he's avoided it somehow. Ken Dorsey and Leslie Frazier. I think they fired the special teams coach. They have high expectations. You feel like their window is closed. I think McDermott is the best bet here in terms of the value.
I think it has to be McDermott or Sirianni. This is, the Dable one is interesting because what the Giants are going to stink. If they're going to be really bad, if they're, I don't know, just random 2-8. Is he going to keep his job if they're that bad early in the season? The Giants are less likely to fire guys. The Dennis Allen one makes no sense. The Saints are why are they going to fire Dennis Allen? Who cares about New Orleans? No one cares about the Saints. They're not going to care enough to fire their coach like that. Are the Saints the one team that, I feel like they're the one team that nobody talks about ever? It's just like Derek Carr's there. The roster is meh. The offensive line had a bad preseason. Whatever. They're just in the NFC South and they play football in the National Football League.
Exactly. The Saints and the Falcons are the 2 teams you never want to bet a game involving either of those teams, because whatever happens to you in those games, you deserve. If you bet on a game involving the Saints or the Falcons, whatever happens, you deserve.
So Steelers +3 week 1 in Atlanta? No?
Oh, John, you want to take the Steelers +3 in Atlanta week 1?
I jotted down some sharp plays that I've seen for week 1, and one of them is Steelers +3 -110 at Atlanta. And Jeff stole my joke. I was gonna say, why is Allen favored? Who cares about the Saints? I didn't even know that he was still the head coach until you guys put up that graphic. I would have said the guy that I don't think anyone said, and I apologize if I missed it, Eberflus in Chicago. Isn't there a lot of – I was really surprised that he kept his job last year. Yeah. Now, this is very unusual to have a team that had the first overall pick, use it on a quarterback, and go into a season with expectations. I don't really remember ever seeing that, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of pressure on him, and if the Bears don't play well, he could be a guy on the hot seat. Sirianni is a guy I think could be in trouble as well. But Dennis Allen, who cares? Who cares if they get rid of him and replace him with another generic guy that nobody knows?
Exactly.
What the hell difference is that going to make? I don't know why. Maybe the people setting that market know something I don't know. We don't do stuff like that in Nevada.
Correct.
We would never be involved in such a thing.
Who dat?
That's
Who
why I'm
cares?
uncomfortable talking about this. We're gonna have to probably edit this segment out. This is just look.
I just feel dirty.
Don't bet at all. This is just Bear knows this. Another guy worth mentioning though is Peterson. I think Peterson, with the way and we talked about it earlier, the second half collapse. If they get off with that schedule, they could easily get off to a 1-3, 2-4 start, and that's a guy who's polarizing because he goes for it a lot. There's some sense that maybe he's lost his fastball a little bit with the collapse they've had. I don't know that he's on solid ground, so he's at least a guy worth mentioning. And I think Allen. Look, I think he's the rightful favorite. I think this is his 5th or 6th year as a head coach, and he's gotten under his season win total every single year. He's been kind of like an underrated disaster when you look at his whole body of work in terms of a head coach.
Go back to being a coordinator. There's nothing wrong with being a coordinator. Admit your shortcoming. Just be a coordinator and stay in the league and make a hell of a line. But by the way, I'm going to give a subtle little pop to John and the Superbook here. I kind of read somewhere 109 on college, 108 on NFL sides this year.
Go.
Yeah, man.
That's,
yeah, man. We're doing NFL sides are going to be minus 108. College football sides minus 109. We're going to start that. Normally, we'll start that every Monday afternoon, guys. But for this week, we've already put it up because the NFL Week 1 market is so settled. These lines have been up for months. So we're okay going minus 108 today, Thursday morning, for next week's games. But normally, it's going to be every Monday.
So let's start right there with the week from a week from today as we're doing this. Ravens Chiefs. Chiefs are 3, but I guess pretty much. Let me make sure. Pretty much everyone. I don't want to lie.
Pretty sure it's 3 everywhere.
Pretty sure it's 3.
I think you could find either. If you like the Chiefs, I think you can get a 2.5, and if you like the Ravens, I think
you can find 2. You can't. Superbook is offering 2.5. I do see that now.
But you're giving juice on the 2.5.
Yeah,
I mean it's like. It's one of those numbers where it's going between 2.5 and 3, and books are toggling the price on the 2.5 or the 3.
What are we seeing? We seeing money of the dog?
We see a lot of sharp money on Kansas City. To be honest with you guys, and especially earlier it was minus 2.5, minus 110. That's when we saw some really sharp money on the Chiefs. I think we're at 2.5, minus 16 now. It's hard to keep track with this new juice, but the sharp money is on the Chiefs. I would bet the Ravens here. So do with that what you want. You probably want to go Kansas City because I'm seeing sharp guys on the Chiefs, and I like Ravens +3.
So here's my case for the Chiefs, besides they typically play well in week 1. As I mentioned earlier, guys, the Ravens are going to this game, I believe, with 3 offensive linemen, the right tackle, the right guard, and the left guard, starting their first game in the National Football League in Kansas City, week 1, against the Chiefs on banner night. Seems like a rough spot for them. Seems like a spot where it might be tough to play in that environment.
Lions did go there week 1 last year and win on Thursday.
Yeah, but Kadarius Toney's not on the team anymore, so he can't drop passes to help them lose. I think that goes a long way in sort of preventing the Ravens from playing the level they want. If they caught the Chiefs, let's say week 14, when the offensive line was settled, maybe there was a better chance for them to win this game. But as John mentioned, you could have got this at 2.5. So laying 3 at this point feels like you're getting the worst of the number, and I wouldn't advise that.
I kind of like the under here at 46.5, just to be under 46.5, just because of the reasons you had mentioned. You got an offensive line that's probably going to have a lot of difficulty protecting Lamar Jackson. And on the other hand, obviously we saw the Chiefs last year. They did enough offensively to win in Baltimore, the AFC Championship game. Under 46.5 would be my play here, Will.
Yeah, I lean towards the Chiefs. I just think, like Geoff said, they're better. You're going to have Xavier Worthy, and I think there are going to be moments pretty early on in the season where these teams and fans of other teams say, how the hell did we let Xavier Worthy get to the Chiefs? Because it's just such a perfect fit where a few times a game he goes deep and it's playground football. Mahomes throws it as far as he can. Worthy runs as fast as he can. And the next thing you know, it's 6 points for the Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs are better. It looks like this thing with Rice. Rice is going to get off the hook, which is a whole other issue. It doesn't seem like he's going to be suspended this year. So that was a concern. You're going to have Kelsey for this game like he didn't have last year against the Lions. The banner night is emotion. That can go either way, where the Chiefs are pumped up, but you can make the case they're distracted. It would be a lean towards the Chiefs. I think they win this game.
And then the following night, we got Friday night football in Brazil. Packers, Eagles 2.5. This feels like taking the pack plus the points here, John, right?
Is this going to be a thing where they play a Friday night game, Bear?
Oh, I'm sure it will be. You know how the
business,
NFL
man.
goes, right? You know how the
I
NFL
hope
goes.
they do. They should just do one every night. Be good for business. We've seen sharp money go to Philadelphia here. So Philadelphia right now, we got them -2.5, -116. Green Bay +2.5 even money. But even though I don't really like the Eagles this season, and I think Sirianni could be on the hot seat, the sharp money that I've seen so far in this Friday night game next week is on the Eagles.
I have no fear for this game. I think there's just a lot of, as I mentioned, I just need to see the Eagles offense without Jason Kelce. I think he matters that much to what they did. I mean, how many times has the offense stalled out in that tush push, right? Like, how do you change your third down play calling knowing that we can't do the tush push anymore to get us a first down if we're short on third down? Like, I think there's a lot of things with their offense. I just need to see different and how they handle the situations. New play caller, new defensive coordinator, and this game is in Brazil. How does that affect? How's the field conditions? Because when these international games, the fields tend to not be the best in Mexico City or in London, and that could affect obviously the way that the offensive players can move, can affect tackling. So, Will, I'm staying away from this one. I don't have a great feel for it.
Yeah, the Eagles secondary was much maligned last year. I mean, think of the Tampa game and just down the stretch, they got torched. They drafted some guys to maybe shore that up, but they're going to get tested right away against the Packers. But I think there's some pressure on Philly here because I know Philly fans are very reasonable and measured, but if they are 0-1 after the way they started last year or finished last year, that hot seat could get even hotter very quickly. And just big picture, boy, have we crowned Jordan Love a little too quickly? I mean, boy, 6-7 games of really good football. I get it, but I don't know. It's like a half a season of playing well. And now all of a sudden, highest paid quarterback. He's a franchise guy. Maybe he is, but I just feel like we are giving him a lot of benefit of the doubt for a pretty short sample here, Bear.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I know a lot of people who are hopping on the Packers win total under this year. And that I know some people as well that also are on the other side of that who are taking the Packers to win that division. But we'll move actually to Sunday afternoon. Probably I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'd say the marquee game on Sunday afternoon, Dallas, Cleveland. Browns have taken a ton of money up to 2.5. I'm a little worried about the Browns here, Geoff. Like, offensive line issues. We still don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. Yeah. Chubb is still on the PUP list. Like, we know Dallas. I mean, CD's back, and we know he's going to play. Guyton's been good. I know you're a little concerned about how the Cowboys are going to protect Dak with that offensive line against Myles Garrett in that front, but are we dismissing Dallas a little bit too quickly here?
Well, John, correct me if I'm wrong. This number was Browns were getting a point, right, when this opened originally, and now it's up to Browns favored by 2.5, up to maybe 3 eventually. Bear, like, this number is not great if you like the Browns.
Not a lot of key numbers though, Geoff.
No, certainly.
These aren't necessarily key, but you're right though. The money has definitely moved to Cleveland, but it's not like we crossed from, through the number 3 or something like that. But you're definitely right. The money is definitely coming in on Cleveland. I do think there's going to be a lot of support for Dallas on the day of the game. But so far, a lot of Cleveland bets.
I'm high in the Browns. I like the Browns this season. But the reports from Watson this training camp have left me a little bit leery of that wager, guys. Look, they got the right tackle back. Like, their offense is going to be fine if Watson is just average. We just need average. Can you just be average, buddy?
You want average? Just let Jameis start.
Probably. And then the defense will be fine. Like Will, the Cowboys have to go on the road here, rookie left tackle against Myles Garrett. That's a problem. When Dak Prescott has not had Tyron Smith over his career, the offense has struggled a lot. He's obviously not even on the team anymore. So, I worry about that specific matchup hurting Dallas in this spot. But if Deshaun Watson is not any good, the Browns aren't going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, at 2.5, Dallas is going to be, I think, a very popular teaser piece, figure close game, low scoring game, and that's where I'm headed. I like the under. I just think that Browns play very good defense at home, and if you're bullish on the Browns, boy, you got to kind of come to grips with why the road home splits are so extreme with the Browns defense. But they are at home here. You get Zimmer to coach the Dallas defense. All the uncertainty with Watson. There's whispers Dak has been banged up. Neither guy played in the preseason, so to me, I could easily see this being a 20-17, 21-20 type of game. I like the under here. I think it's. I know there's some discourse over the kickoff rules, Bear, and how that's going to affect field position. I don't know how you factor that in here, but to me, this is an underplay.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, the Cowboys with a very good return game last year, so we'll see how the new rules affect the starting field position in games. I don't think anybody really knows for sure how that's going to factor into games yet. Obviously, check out Cowboys Browns on Fox 425.
Tom Brady first game.
Tom Brady, Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. I'm sure.
I love it.
It'll be good. And then when we get to Monday night, the Jets, Niners have been bet down now to 3.5. Jets have taken a ton of money, and
wow.
I can't argue the move with what we know about the 49ers, with everything that we have seen and have not seen in the offseason. And we've talked about this with the Jets and how we've bet the Jets kind of every which way for last team to lose, best record, AFC, all this stuff, like being bullish on the Jets. Like if the Jets get by this game and pull the small upset, there's a path for them to really go far. But at the same time, is there still this little bit of voice in the back of your head, like saying it still is the Jets and everybody's on the Jets here? And does that worry you going into Monday night against a team that, we'll face it, will still be pretty good?
Yeah, they're still going to be good, but boy, that's a tough Jets team to block if you don't have Trent Williams. So that's a big key to the game. And if you're not getting the best of it, if you're betting the Jets now, but I think if you're a Jets fan, and like bets aside, if you can just get through this game with Rodgers healthy, you lose a game by a field goal or a touchdown, you look competitive, and Rodgers is fine. I think most Jets, if you gave them true serum, would sign for that. But maybe Jets are nothing for me. And if you like the Jets, 15-1 to be the last undefeated team, because after this, it's a lot of Titans and Broncos and Steelers, Vikings on a neutral field. You get the Bills at home. And by the way, the most Jets thing ever would be they start out 4-0, I think, and you go face your old quarterback Sam Darnold on a neutral field and you lose that game. That would be just the epitome of Jetsdom. But I think if you like the Jets here, which I do, 15-1 to be last undefeated is the way to play it.
Has this number gone down low enough here, John, where people are going to start to nibble at the Niners minus 3.5?
Look, I don't think you guys should worry about everybody's on the Jets. The people betting the game right now are pretty much all wise guys, right? I mean, the public is not really getting involved in the NFL too much. So, yes, everybody's on the Jets. Mostly everybody sharp is on the Jets. That's why this line's gone from 6 to 3.5. The public will, in the end, come in on the 49ers, right? So all the money line parlays that survive Saturday, September 7th, and Sunday, September 8th, are going to go to the Niners on Monday. We'll probably end up needing the Jets. Right now, it's all Jets. Kudos to you guys taking the Jets to finish with the last team to lose a game when they're a dog in week 1. That's an interesting bet.
Well,
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the survivor mentality.
That's a fun bet, man.
It's kind of like the survivor mentality, John. Like the goal is to win, and if you can overcome the one hurdle, like you look and you got a shot. But I want to just circle back to something that John said. I kind of said about everybody being on the Jets, and John actually made a great point. I'd say actually. John always makes great points, but
that's shocking. I don't think anyone's ever said that.
I don't know why you're so surprised, Barry. John knows his stuff.
Put that on tape.
That was surprised too.
Put that on tape for Jay and everybody else there to let you know that you know what you're talking. But we kind of talked about this last week in college football with the Florida State Georgia Tech game, that everybody was on Georgia Tech, but it was. I mean, nobody. Joe Smith off the street in July is not betting Georgia Tech, Florida State in Dublin week 0 in college football. It was all sharp, respected money. And not only did the line move a field goal or whatever it was, Jackets, by the way, won the game outright. So it's probably not something.
Bear, most importantly, sorry to interrupt you, but most importantly, the day of the game on Saturday, it was all Florida State. We did awesome on that game because Saturday morning, Friday night, all that public money came in on Florida State teasers, which are ridiculous. Don't ever do a college football teaser unless you're at the Westgate, Las Vegas. Of course, we love that. and a lot of money line parlays with Florida State. So we did awesome on that game, even though, to your point, everybody was on Georgia Tech. If I said that 10 days ago, I would have been correct. But with Georgia Tech winning the game, it was a windfall for us because the public was all on the Seminoles. And I think we'll see that a lot this week. This is such a unique week, especially in the NFL, where right now almost all the bets are sharp, but we'll probably end up needing those sides that are taking all the money in the summer, because the public's probably going to be coming in the other way over the next 10 days or so.
Geoff, any thought on Jets Niners?
I can't debate if I'm rooting for you or against you in this game. You always root against me. Like you rooted for Washington last year a bunch of times instead of Oregon.
I did not root for Washington.
So I can't determine whether or not. I'll root for the Jets because of Will.
I can show you losing tickets that show that I was not rooting for Washington against Oregon.
I'll root for the Jets because of Will, not because of you. Look, I would tell you, we can't spend the first part of this podcast saying the Niners are in disarray and then be like, Niners minus 3.5. No, I mean, like I don't. I would lean Jets, but you get the worst number now, so right. You can't bet the Jets now. So I would lean Jets here because the Niners just, again, like you're going to the game with your best players on offense either injured or haven't shown up to training camp yet. I don't know how you can wager on a team that doesn't have their best offensive players currently practicing right now.
Well, let's hope the Jets get that 1-0 start. John, anything in college football that you see you like this weekend before we let you go?
Well, you got to take West Virginia and the points, right, Bear?
I didn't do that. I'm sorry.
Fox Big Noon Saturday game. I did see some sharp money come in on Arizona State last night. I think a lot of really good college football games this weekend, but the big one Saturday night, Notre Dame at Texas A&M. And that number has been moving towards the Aggies like all summer. And right now, A&M is -3 against Notre Dame. The Notre Dame team I really like a lot this year to make it to the college football playoff because their schedule is really, really easy. If Notre Dame can spring that upset Saturday, they might go undefeated.
Yeah, there's a really good. You look at Florida State down the road on that schedule. Certainly not as imposing of a game as you would have thought. So the road is certainly there for the Irish. John, we appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
We will do this again during the course of the season. Love your insights. Love hanging with you. So hope everybody has a great week one in the NFL.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Bear, that was nice to have John Murray join us.
It was
a little insight that we don't get sometimes. I like it.
No, we love John and. Hopefully we'll have him on throughout the year. Maybe not every week, but every now and then get a view from the book to hop in with the gambling group chat. Whether it's John or maybe Chris Andrews or someone out there. We'll keep the gambling group chat spicy. See, Sammy's got his new job now.
So he's too cool for us. You went on yesterday, right, with the show, or 2 days ago. You went on his show, right? His new show.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
No, it was great, and certainly it's something that I will. Listen to throughout the week, but yeah, good luck. Sammy will be with us on the college one because the college one will be done on Wednesday, but Thursday, unfortunately, Sammy's got a real job now. He doesn't want to slum with us.
I missed the text message inviting me on the show from Sammy, so it's unfortunate.
Yeah, actually, Sammy didn't send me the text. See, Sammy's got people to do that for him now.
He's a big dog now.
Exactly.
He's a big dog. Yep. He's got a producer now that sends text messages out to book guests. I love it. All right, Bear, time for best bets. Our last edition before we will give you wagers for the week. What do you got, Bear?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to it in the gambling group chat before John Murray did call me crazy. I took the Jags over 8.5 wins. I think there are winnable games there. I think that game week 1 in Miami is very winnable. I'm not as high on the Dolphins as a lot of people are. I think Lawrence is poised to have a good year with a new receiving core. And I think as that season goes on, after week 10, they have one game that isn't in a dome or in the state of Florida, and that's a trip to Tennessee. So I think weather is going to be good for them. They're not going to have any cold weather games, any bad weather games. I think Lawrence is going to have a big year. I think the Jags over 8.5 wins is a play that I like, even though Mr. Murray, Mr. Director, disagreed with me.
No, I think he disagreed with you with them winning the AFC.
Yeah, I was thinking about just, sometimes you throw a dart.
Over 9-8 is not unreasonable for Jacksonville,
no,
right? In the minimum.
Not at all.
If the wide receivers can just catch the ball a little bit more, the offense turns into something else.
Well, the guys that dropped the ball last year are now gone.
Yeah.
By the way, we were just talking off air before that. I don't want to call it a best bet, but one thing we just kicked around, like maybe a little Chiefs to win the division and Broncos to finish second in the division. Maybe get that exacta. Could be a little something too, because the Raiders are going to stink.
They're going to stink.
And who knows about the Chargers, and maybe the Broncos and Bo Nix are better than people think.
The thing I enjoy about talking about the sport is, sometimes we sort of like going against groupthink, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone you hear talk about the Chargers. Well, Jim Harbaugh did well in year one at Stanford. He did well year one at San Francisco, in Michigan. I go, not every situation is the same.
No.
And you look at what's up with the roster on offense right now. The defense is aging, but everyone has to stay healthy. Like that problem with that. Their quarterback is entering the season coming off a little bit of a foot thing. Now, he seems to be fine, but I don't believe the Chargers this year are going to be as good as people think. I think next year, you look at them as a legit division winner. All right, Bear. I say this for the end. I'm just going to do it now. Kansas City to win the Super Bowl is my best bet. 3 in a row, first NFL team to do so. There's little things about the Chiefs I think are important additions. They're going to be better offensively, which is shocking off a team that has been good for so many years in offense. And last year wasn't their best year, obviously, but Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown back healthy are big additions. And I'll tell you what, the little things they've done the last 48 hours are hugely important. They had a Juju Smith-Schuster back in the lineup. He caught 78 passes for them 2 years ago. He's a good addition. They had a P. Ryan, running back, who they need a third down back. He had more receiving yards last year than 4 of their wide receivers. Okay. They added Cam Thomas from Arizona, a pass rusher who had a pressure on over 50% of his snaps last year. Like these little additions here and there to build up depth, get me excited about what they can be. But more importantly, where are the holes on this team, man? Rookie left tackle, like that's it. You can help a rookie left tackle. People think the defense will fall off, and it
Spoken
probably
from experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. My first start in the NFL, 2009. I'm playing right tackle. Panthers were hosting the Vikings. Remember, the Vikings that year were good. They went and played the Saints. It was the Bounty Gate game, right? And it was Sunday Night Football. Was week 14. So they were good. We were 5-8. They were good. As my first start, it was Jared Allen on one side, and I believe it was Ray Edwards I was playing against on my side, plus the Williams brothers inside. Remember Pat and Kevin Williams? So good Vikings defense. The amount of help I got in that game from our game plan was it cannot be rivaled for anyone else. I got a tight end, a running back, the right guard. We did like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 was just like rollout, so I didn't have to worry about pass protection. And we won the game. We beat the Vikings. Julius Peppers, he had like 4 sacks. Julius Peppers was incredible. We won the game, Bear. But I got the most help I've ever gotten. It was very clear. A lot of times I think coaches don't really overtly put in help for players. Like it's built in, like if you're a young player, like they build it in, but you don't, but like it was direct, like Schwartz, you have a tight end. Schwartz, you have a running back. Okay, Schwartz, we're sliding the guard to you. Like it was a lot of fun. I mean, they hooked me up.
The moral of the story, be nice to Geoff Schwartz and good things happen.
We won the game. Yes, we won the last 3 games that season. Yeah, it was a fun end of the season. Jonathan Stewart rushed for over 600 yards. I
love Jonathan Stewart. Going back to Oregon. I love that dude.
He rushed for 600 yards the final 3 games.
Healthy all the time. That was a problem.
We actually that season, still the record right now, 2 running backs on a single team with over 1,100 yards rushing. Both Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. I play golf with Jonathan Stewart. He lives in Charlotte too. Believe it or not, he can hit the ball very far.
No. I find that hard to believe.
He had 2 eagle putts.
He's got the leg and hip power to yeah. I'm shocked by that.
He's good. He's a good golfer.
By the way,
he's a good dude too.
Arizona. By the way, that's like team over. Like every like look. I'd look over. Like I can't wait till they post a Bills team total for week 1 against the Cardinals. Because that Arizona defense is going to be bad. Yeah, I got a text yesterday from a buddy who covers. He's like it says Dyer's that gets in Arizona. So maybe the Bills week 1 could be one of the survivor option as well. But we'll let you know more about that next week. So appreciate Sammy. We do appreciate Sammy, but he didn't join us today, so that's fine. It's okay. Appreciate Will. He got a big boy job. Good for him. We're very happy for Sammy. We are. Yes. We love it. We kid because we care. But Gabby Group Shot was great with John and Will. Appreciate everybody for watching, listening. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to that Bear Bets YouTube channel. And remember, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.